is about gathering data from reliable sources, but actually being able to extract the data that you need and line things up. So this is specifically targeted at a Maths Studies project, but it's relevant for anyone gathering and analysing data. So in my mind, I want to grab data from a whole range of countries from all over the world. So I've come to Gapminder. I'm going to click on the Data tab here. I've got all this data which I can interrogate. Now I've already looked at this before and I think this interests me. So alcohol consumption per adult 15 plus. This is from the World Health Organization. Now if I go to this spreadsheet here, it can download the actual data. I think it's done it there. Let me just have a little look. Okay, and I've got all the data I need, which is quite cool. Only limited data for some of the years, and but full data for 2005, 2008. So that's okay. Now, if your data doesn't download like that, then when I actually click on alcohol consumption here, it gives me a little summary on the first page. Now, this is really interesting to actually go and read about where the data comes from. It's the World Health Organization. But look at this caveat. I think it's caveat, the V's aren't pronounced. I think it's a Latin. It means beware. So this tells you a lot of details about how reliable the data might be. And this is really, really useful as you consider. You're going to be making predictions once you've analysed this data. And your predictions can only be as reliable and as accurate as the data itself. And this is filled with warning signs, basically. So when you read this, look, it is thus especially difficult to estimate total consumption for low-income countries. The data here is based on estimations made by a team of experts at WHO. Yeah? The data came from 2 different studies from different years. We advise caution when looking at change over time. This is a wealth of information that you can actually put into any kind of project that you're writing up. How reliable is the data you've gathered? Okay, so that's a good thing. Now, if we go back to the data itself, you can actually just copy this data from this particular view here. So I'm going to highlight all of this all the way down. That's just in case the spreadsheet doesn't open, and in some cases that's happened. Open up a Google Sheet and then edit, paste, special paste values is the best way. Okay, and there, that's great. So look, what I'm going to do actually, I'm going to take the latest year, which is 2008, and I'm just going to grab this. I'm going to click on the Y, I'm going to cut it, and I'm just going to paste it right here. Okay, and I'm just going to get rid of all of the data. So I'm analysing 2008 for each of these countries. I'm going to do edit, delete columns. Fantastic, so I've got that there. And this is alcohol consumption. It's in litres, I think, per 15-year-old, but that's for 2008. Great stuff. And I'll just do a little bit of a wraparound here so I can see all the text, and I'll make this a little bit bigger. Beautiful. I'm actually going to put in insert 2 columns, right? Okay. So now I've got all these countries here, which there are quite a lot. You go all the way down here. Looks like I've got 188 here. But Yemen's not got a value here. Let me just check to see if Yemen did have a value, and I just didn't copy it. Vanuatu here, and well, it looks like on this. Can I make it bigger? Let's have a look. Yeah, even if I make it bigger, I can't get the last couple of countries there. Okay, so that's a limitation, yeah? But if you can download it, then clearly go to the download and get the actual data itself. All right, so what do I want to do next? Well, I want to see if the actual alcohol consumption here is linked with GDP per capita. Yeah, but this will have to be for 2008 is what I'll have to compare it. So it's a bit old data, but it'd be quite interesting to see, do high levels of alcohol consumption correlate with lower levels of GDP per capita? Or maybe rate of unemployment? Yeah, would that be something that it might correlate? So let me go do GDP per capita first. So data here. I can go and search for GDP. Now I think we've done this before, and I like GDP per capita. GDP per capita, US dollars, inflation adjusted. That sounds pretty good, yeah. So we'll go for that one. And I think if I download the spreadsheet here, that'll be good. If I open up that spreadsheet, That's great. Now, if you have a look at here, on the tab at the bottom it says About. Now this tells you kind of what it is. So it's GDP per capita, income per person, fixed 2,000 US dollars. Yeah. Now look in here. It says the inflation has been taken into account, but not the difference in the cost of living between countries. So $10 in the US would buy you a lot less than $10 in Cambodia, for instance. So actually, this is not the data I want. I want GDP, which has been adjusted to be able to compare the purchasing power between different countries. And so I need PPP, purchasing power parity. So I'm just going to have a little look to see if I can find that GDP, little PPP. Oh, there we go. So alternative GDP, total GDP, purchasing power parity, inflation, income per person. That's the one there. Look. So income per person, GDP per capita, PPP, inflation adjusted. Perfect. So this is adjusted for everything. It just means that $200 in 2010 can be compared with $2,000 in 2000, and also it can be compared across countries. Fantastic, and there it all is. Now, there's so much data here, it's ridiculous. But I just want 2008. So let's grab 2008. Click, yeah, and then I'm going to Command C, and then I'm going to take it over to here. Now I've got to be careful because if I just paste it in, I'll paste it in over here. Now look, there's some gaps actually in here. And does this country really correspond to Albania? Is this country list the same as the other country list? So I'm going to have to take this country list, Command C, and go back to my spreadsheet, and here do a Command V. Okay, and if you have a look over here, Afghanistan here, Afghanistan here. So I want the $1,311 to be up here, and I want Albania is here, so I need to put that up here. Now this can get really messy because I can't just copy and paste the whole of this column over here because it'll be out of alignment. I need Argentina's alcohol consumption to match with Argentina's GDP per capita. And rather than just, copying and pasting across, like there's 190 of those to do, that would be so tedious. So there is a formula that will work for this, and let me share that with you. It's called a vertical lookup. I hope it works. Let's try it. So in here's where we get into the formula that will take the number for Afghanistan, GDP per capita, and put it in here. So equals always when you start a formula, and it's called a vertical lookup. So it's a V lookup, okay, open bracket. Now I want to look up the name Afghanistan, and I want to look for it, comma, over in this data set, this array of countries. There's a lot more countries here than my first one, yeah? So go back to the top. So I want to look for A2 Afghanistan within the E2 to F261, yeah? But I'm going to put a little $sign before the 2 and the 261, okay? And then comma. Now, when I look up Afghanistan here, I want to return the number here in the second column of this array. So I've got to put 2, and then comma. There's one more crazy command. I'm going to put false at the end. Now this vlookup wants to know, is the data that you're looking up in the first column in numerical order, yes or no? Well, it's not in numerical order because it's alphabetical order, so it's a false. Put a bracket around it. Press enter. Looks like Afghanistan 1311. Yeah, that seems to have worked. Okay, so Albania is here. Albania should be 8644. Click. Bottom corner, drag down. Fantastic, yeah? And so if I drag that all the way down, it looks like it's been pretty successful, yeah? So that saved us a whole world of time just transferring over individual by individual bit of data, yeah? We'll do a bit of spot checking. So Vietnam, 3.9, well, we know that's for sure, that's the original data, but Vietnam GDP should be 4085. Where's Vietnam? Vietnam, 4085, perfect. Yemen does have an entry 4420, and I'll drag that down there. And then if I go back to the original data sheet, I should be able to download the data and put Yemen in there. Okay. Okay, so that's fantastic. It seems to have worked nicely. NA is an error. Macedonia. Well, does Macedonia exist as a GDP? Macedonia FYR. It's here, but is it a different spelling because it got a comma in the wrong place? So let's go and have a little look here about the missing ones, yeah? So there might still be a few problems, yeah, but maybe we can kind of narrow it down. So if the spelling's not the same, look, you see, it's got a square bracket here, but it's got a curved bracket here, I think, wasn't it? No bracket at all, okay? So if it doesn't match exactly the same spelling, it's not going to grab the GDP for this country, yeah? But look, you've only got, what, a handful, less than 10 NAs, yeah? So Slovakia, why isn't Slovakia being picked up? Because Slovenia, Slovak Republic. Okay, so are they considered the same thing? Well, it's called Slovakia here, Slovak Republic here. Maybe it changed its name a little bit further along, maybe 2011, 2012, and they've kind of just backdated the name. So you just have to either rewrite this name up here, but if you're going to rewrite the name of Slovak Republic up here in terms of Slovakia, then the data appears automatically, which is kind of cool, or you can just copy across the actual data itself. Okay, so that should be a big help. I'm actually just going to highlight this, click on the down arrow. I'm just going to hide these columns now. Yeah, I don't want to delete them because this directly references those columns. So if I delete the columns here, then this will disappear. I could copy and paste special here, but I'll just keep it like that. And now I'm going to insert column right and insert column right. So this is where I'm going to take a random sample of the countries just so I can get it down to a more manageable number to analyse. So I'm going to take a random sample of, let's say, I don't know, 30 countries. So you might remember this before. So here I'm going to put a random number here. So equals rand, open bracket, close bracket. So this gives you a random number between 0 and 1, you know, so like 6 decimal places. If I press enter here, and then if I drag this down all the way to the bottom, now actually if I double click it, I think, oh yeah, that's cool. So if I double click it, it automatically fills down to the bottom of the data. Brilliant. So let's enter a random number for all of these countries. Now what I want to do is I'm going to sort this out into numerical order and then just pick the top 30 countries, yeah? Because if I sort this out in numerical order from smallest to biggest, every country is being assigned a random number, so I'm randomly selecting the first 30, I suppose. So put some filters above here. And the problem is when I actually sort from smallest to biggest, yeah, these have changed, but these numbers have changed again, yeah? So these have been sorted according to the original random number smallest to biggest, but in that split second that I did A to Z, the random number changed just a split second afterwards, yeah? So it looks a bit odd that, have I really sorted these out into size order from smallest to biggest according to this number? Because look, these numbers aren't smallest to biggest. They were, but they instantaneously changed again to produce another random number, yeah? So we have sorted them out randomly into a random order. So if we pick the top 30 from here, that's a random selection of 30 countries. That's absolutely fine. If you just don't like the feel of that, then once you've assigned a random number, I'll go back to A to Z, yeah? Look, these are randomized again. If you just copy this column, Command C, and then do edit, paste special, paste values, yeah? These random numbers are constantly changing, but these were the random numbers attached to the countries originally. If you now sort this into A to Z, look, these are smallest to biggest. These have still changed again, but then just go grab your first 30 countries. I'll just go up to here. So Command C, that's 3 columns. So I'm going to enter, grab another column here, insert column right, insert column right, insert column right. See, each time you do something, these random numbers change again. That's fine. So I'm going to click on here. Now, if I do Command V, look what happens. You see this ref here? Remember, there's a formula in there we're copying, and it's trying to reference something that doesn't exist, yeah? So we don't want to do paste, we want to do edit, paste special, paste values, yeah? So now this is just the number being pasted from here, not the formula. So now we have a random sample of 30 countries, or 40 countries, or however it is, drawn from the entire data set. So notice that video's only lasted